So guys, there's I found something funny. Apparently, Dmitry Bivol has got 5,000 followers on Twitter, and that doesn't make him a credible opponent. Um, it's embarrassing. I saw a manager, Ali Abdulaziz. I think he's Kamaru Usman's manager, saying that Canelo Alvarez fighting Bivol, because I think Bivol's got like 9,000 followers on Twitter, and that somehow makes Bivol not a credible opponent. What I will say is, though, for Bivol being a light heavyweight champion, to have 9,000 followers is fairly crazy. Whoever's promoting that guy is not doing a good job. Just to give you an insight, Amir Khan has 2.2 million followers on Twitter. Like someone like Tony Bellew has 700,000 followers on Twitter. That is really poor. For Dmitry Bivol to have only 9,000 followers. Wow. It's crazy, man. So whoever's promoting Dmitry Bivol needs to big it up, like Eddie Hearn or, these guys or whoever, his agents, whoever. They need to start doing a better job in terms of promoting him, because 9,000 followers for a champion, world champion, is fairly poor. But in terms of that guy slating Canelo, because and trying to make out like Canelo's cherry picking Dmitry Bivol, it's kind of like embarrassing. How is he cherry picking Dmitry Bivol? Dmitry Bivol is a light heavyweight champion, and your social media status or your fame on social media doesn't mean how good a fighter you are. Yeah, at times they can be interlinked, but that depends on personality. There's many guys that have a bigger following, like Ryan Garcia, for example. Ryan Garcia has a bigger following than Terence Crawford on social media. Does that mean Ryan Garcia is a better fighter than Terence Crawford? I have to admit, 9,000 followers is pretty poor for a world champion, I must say. But to make out that's the be all and end all to see how credible a fight is or an opponent is ridiculous. That's just ridiculous beyond belief. To say that, oh, the guy has 9,000 followers, so that means that he's not a credible opponent. That don't mean nothing. That just means a lot of people don't know who he is, and that should know who he is, because Bivol's a quality fighter. And to somehow make out like Canelo is cherry picking, I saw David Benavidez the other day. Him and David Lemieux rip into Canelo and say, Canelo should follow the rules and he should vacate if he's not going to fight us. It seems like everybody's on Canelo's case. The man can only fight one guy. The man can't fight everybody, He can't fight everybody. He can only fight one guy. I feel like people want to see Canelo fight virtually everyone in one night. He can't do that. He can't do that, man. It's crazy. I find it really funny. I find it kind of funny that people are saying that he's cherry picking. He's cherry picking by fighting Bivol. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Look, I don't know how you can cherry pick fighting a light heavyweight champion, a guy that's much bigger than you. I think it's just nonsense. I think people are just putting stuff out there, rubbish out there, without knowing. Like this Ali Abdulaziz, the manager, he probably doesn't have any clue, about how good Bivol is. And I feel like sports combat is now going down the route of who's more famous, who's more popular. And that's what it's about. It's not about the best fighting the best. It's about who's more popular, who's more famous, which is obviously not good, because that's not what we want, because you'll get a lot of joke matchups like that. You'll get a lot of matchups which, are kind of jokes. We don't want to see guys fight a guy like Jake Paul. I saw in an interview today saying that Canelo's kind of ducking Benavidez, he's ducking Charlo, he's fighting guys that know, like, with 9,000 followers. Like, why does that matter? Followers don't mean how good a fighter somebody is. Ask Benavidez if Bivol's a good fighter. You know, having followers don't mean anything. All that means is there's been a poor job. Whoever's promoting and whoever's looking after Bivol, they've done a poor job. Because he's not going to get himself out there. He's not a loud guy. He's just doing his job. And some people like Dmitry Bivol are very hard to promote because he's not the most charismatic. He's not loud. He just goes in there and does his job. But he's really good. He's a champion, you know. But unfortunately, with his, he's not the most marketable guy, and he's not a guy that puts himself out there. He just quietly goes in and does his job. And listen, not everybody can be like Conor McGregor. Not everybody can go in there and you know, be marketable like that. You know, be outspoken. You know, not everyone can be like that. You know, there's only a select few that can sell themselves like that. You know, and Bivol's not one of those guys. But yeah, I will say this: 9,000 followers is pretty poor for a light heavyweight champion. For a guy that is as good a fighter as Bivol, right? He should have at least a couple of 100,000 followers, you know. But then I look at guys like Keith Thurman. He only has 100,000 followers. Terence Crawford, I believe he has like 200,000. Or Spence, they have around 200. So they don't have many followers. They don't have many followers. Let's be brutally honest. You know, that's not 200,000 or 100,000. In that instance, you would say Bivol's probably got, because they're way more well known than Bivol, and even they haven't got many followers. You know, so it just shows that they haven't really got a casual audience. A lot of their audience are probably hardcore boxing fans. In Bivol's case, even hardcore boxing fans probably aren't following him. And again, social media is about, like, some boxers have an interesting life. They're doing things. Some are doing reality shows, and they're doing other things outside of boxing that get them followers as well. You know, Bivol isn't that guy. He's just doing his job, you know. But I will say this, obviously, for your life after boxing, having social media followers can help you get, you know, people like big brands wanting to work with you, and, you know, you can get work that way. You can financially secure yourself that way. There's a lot of guys that, you know, a lot of athletes that I know have got so many followers, and they're making shed load of money from social media just because brands want to work with them. They say, "Oh, post our stuff, and we'll pay," and they pay them X amount of money, you know. And it's that's as an athlete, I feel like social media has become important because it's become an income stream, a big income stream. You know, I've heard like certain athletes, right? They post, you know, if they post this image of this brand, they get paid, you know, £1 million. Like, it's literally, like, I've heard, you know, that certain athletes can make huge amount of money just posting, you know, a picture of them wearing a particular brand. And that's not just in sport, that's in other fields as well, like singers and stuff. So it's very important for these athletes to, you know, have a huge following on social media, or try to, you know, increase their, you know, public awareness and get themselves out there on social media, because it'll help them get other income streams. Because at the end, boxing's going to end. You know, boxing's going to always be there. So them getting popular and being big on social media definitely helps their growth as you know, as public stars, or public figures, you know. So yeah, I was quite shocked to see that Bivol only has 9,000 followers. But at the end of the day, like I said, when you look at some of the other American stars like Crawford, who has like 100,000 or whatever, Thurman 100,000, then look, they're supposed to be American, and some of those are outspoken. Like Keith Thurman, he's quite outspoken, right? He talks well. He's more marketable than someone like Bivol, and even he's not that well known. But if you look here in the UK, it's probably the way the fighters are marketed. Like, you go look at Amir Khan, 2.2 million. Tyson Fury, about 2 million. Joshua's got about 3 million. You know, Tony Bellew, 700,000. Froch, 600, 700,000. You know, Kell Brook, about 500,000. You know, so these aren't better fighters than, you know, Froch, better fighters than Crawford and these. But probably the fighters here are marketed more. You know, and there's not as many. There's not as many marquee fighters here in the UK that there are in America, but that shouldn't be an excuse. I just feel like the way the fighters are marketed here, because there's a smaller pool, and there's a lot of interest in boxing. Boxing is there's a lot of interest, and I think it's marketed very well. A lot of these top end fighters have, got a huge social media platform because of the way they've been marketed. I feel like fighters like Bivol and American based fighters haven't been marketed well. I don't think their stories have been told well, and also in America, Teddy Atlas is right that there's a lot of competition going off. So unless you're extremely big, it's going to be hard for you to make it, it's going to be hard for you to really be big over there. But in England, it's like a small pond, where the marquee fighters get promoted huge. So, yeah. But in terms of Bivol's credibility as a fighter, I don't think anyone can, point fingers at his credibility and point fingers at Canelo fighting him. Because trust me when I say this, Canelo fighting Dmitry Bivol that's a tough fight for Canelo Alvarez. Canelo could lose that fight. So let's not make out like Canelo's cherry picking and avoiding Benavidez and Charlo just because they have a huge, or not, I wouldn't even say they have a huge social media, but they have a bigger social media following, doesn't mean they're better fighters. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion. That's ridiculous. Absolute nonsense. Nonsense. But I feel like that's just a narrative that's been pushed against Canelo, and it's Jake Paul comes out with it, this manager's coming out with this, and everybody seems to like put Canelo down. And I assume when you're the face and a lot of people want a piece of you, that's what people do in order to, slate you and put you down, discredit you. But really, let's be honest, he's doing much better than all of those guys that are slating him. Probably financially and in terms of a legacy point of view, So yeah, that's my take on it. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace, guys.